LoreWarrior Online, CNS-5M, Cronus. Overview. Having served in the Free Worlds League militia as a mech warrior during the final years of the Third Succession War, Angus Gilmore retired to his homeworld of Talitha with the intent on looking after the moderate repair shop his own father had opened decades prior. Though a competent mech warrior, Gilmore's true calling was mechanics. When the local militia unit was forced to rely on civilians just to keep up with maintenance on their own equipment, they quickly hired Gilmore and his company. Within just a few years, Gilmore Mechanics became the prime contractor for all militia maintenance on the world. Angus reinvested the profits right back into the company, building more facilities and hiring the best ex-military technicians he could. More than that, he built a reputation of being able to rebuild and refit mechs thought beyond hope. By 3060, the family business was worth billions. Not only was Gilmore Miltech the leading maintenance contractor in the Free Worlds League, but it also rebuilt scrapped military equipment and, with the opening of a new facility, financed in part by Hollings Dupree Limited, began selling new mechs to concerns throughout the Inner Sphere. Capabilities. Angus Gilmore loved to tinker. He would constantly buy battlefield scrap and turn it back into serviceable equipment. Though he would rebuild the occasional Orion or Javelin, he and his technicians concentrated on building the Cronus, a homebrew design incorporating the most popular features of each of the 55-ton mechs commonly available at that time. His company could churn out less than 24 a year, but his Cronus was a viable and cheap alternative to buying a new mech, especially for cash-poor mercenaries. As Gilmore Miltech grew, it changed with the times. It continued to produce the rebuilt Cronus, but in 3060 began to build a brand new Cronus as well. Topping out at 97 kph, 11 kph faster than the standard rebuild, this new 5M model relies on Kong Interstellar's new Vox 330 extralight fusion engine, rather than the older Cortec 275. This frees up enough mass to not only add more armor, but also allows the mech to carry a heavy weapons package, mounting an extended range PPC, plus a pair of ER medium lasers and a Streak SRM-4. The Cronus can engage enemies accurately at any range. An ER small laser provides an additional bit of backup punch at close ranges. The most striking feature of the Cronus, though, is the inclusion of a C3 module. While the module can be removed, the great majority of customers choose to leave it in, if only in expectation of building their own network eventually. Deployment. Gilmore Miltech sells primarily to mercenaries throughout the Inner Sphere. Assisted by Holling Dupree's logistics network, the company has shipped to off-world units as far-flung as Kuken's Pleasure Pit and Heratitus. Variants. The standard 3M model rebuild carries a large laser, 3 medium lasers, and SRM-4. Though outmoded by today's standards, the mech is still quite functional. It's popular with private security and periphery military concerns. Yeah, sorry about the flub there at the end of the variants bit, but I got through the rest of it first time pretty well, so I'm just keeping it in like this. Let's just move on. Mass, 55 ton, chassis Earthworks SHD2 Endo Steel, power plant Vox 330 Extra Light, cruise speed of 65 kph, max speed of 97 kph, with jump jets provided by Northrop 12,000, giving it a jump capacity of 180 meters. Armor is the Maximilian 43 with case. Its armament is a single Magna Sunspot extended range PPC, 2 diverse optics extended range medium lasers, 1 diverse optics extended range small laser, and 1 Harpoon 4S SRM-4 Streak launcher, manufactured by Gilmore Miltech on Talitha. Communication system is the Cypher ComSys 1C with C3 module, and targeting and tracking system is the RCA InstaTrack Mark 12. Stat-wise, it translates into a mech that moves 6, 9, and 6 with 14 double heatsinks for 28 overall. It has 9 armor on the head, 28 on the CT, 7 on the rear, 21 on the side torsos with 5 on the rear, 16 on the arms, and 20 on the legs. Its ERPPC is the massive gaping hole in the right arm. It has the 2 ER mediums in the right torso, which are also ridiculously big on this model in the artwork. The ER Small is the also quite large barreled weapon under the cockpit on the left torso. The Streak 4 is located above the head there, with the ammunition in the left torso, 25 shots in total. The case is also there, with the C3 system in the center torso and the jump jets located in the left and right torsos as well. Visually, not like it's not a mech you're gonna go, oh, I've got to have one. But what I really like about this is actually the story, the write-up that comes with it. The idea of a kind of a former military pilot going into business for himself and slowly building up his own mech company, essentially. And this being his passion project, the Cronus, like fully built. And the cool thing is that it's sold to mercenaries. He's not trying to land the big contract with obviously any of the great houses because, well, let's face it, that market's already saturated by all the big, well-established companies that are producing all of their own high-tech stuff. So you've got this scrappy little company in the militia, Free Worlds League, selling off this homebrew design. I mean, it's also a little bit, I guess, of a fourth wall talk about a player who comes up with his own design kind of thing, and that this is it, and in universe or in a long-term campaign of MechWarrior RPG, your player character has gotten to the point where it's like, well, I've got this cash, I've got all these people, I'm going to build a mech, you're going to sell it, and you're working with a GM to kind of come up with the narrative around this, and all of maybe getting in slightly into the corporate world and the politics and all of that. Cool idea. And it's an interesting idea that you could involve players in with a company like this. I mean, we're in the 3060s, obviously, and as it mentions, this is after the Third Succession War, so you've got a company that lasts quite a while, going from the 3020s upwards to 3060s, so you've got something there where you can involve the players who might be helping out an early, Gilmore Miltech, or just Gilmore technicians, bringing stuff to them, like maybe they're asking you to look for specific parts, so that you can have the players being involved in missions like that. You can have them doing things like field tests for the Cronus models as they're being built. Over the years, you get a contract with Gilmore Miltech where you're like basically running one or two of these mechs as part of an operation or like a war games with the Free Worlds League militia on that planet to kind of demonstrate the model kind of thing. So the mission is, it's got to be a success. You've got to beat the militia guys to prove how good the Cronus is. So you can have some role playing elements in there. You can you'll be talking to obviously Gilmore himself or one of his family who also work in the business, or one of the other like higher members, or one of the technicians kind of thing. And you could really involve the player in this whole Gilmore Miltech thing and spin it out however you want. The company ends up becoming like a bigger and bigger concern, especially in the later period, and the embedding of things like, I mean, I hate to say it, but the word of Blake being so embedded within parts of the Free Worlds League, that Gilmore Miltech might be one of those companies that isn't infected by them and ends up becoming something that's important. When the kind of downfall of the league happens, they end up becoming one of the more important companies to start producing replacement mechs and parts in that little area of the militia of the league itself. All these kind of ideas can come up, and it's all from this one sort of little narrative, which is very rare in Battletech, where you have something that is created by just one person who has a dream, an idea, and it goes from there, and that's really cool. Visually, the mech could be improved, of course. Again, this is one of those things where the barrels on the mech's weapons are all fucking massive. They don't need to be. Like, the ERPPC could be reduced in scale on that right arm. The medium lasers could be a lot smaller, and less like these gigantic barrel things again. It's like, they're like battleships, how big the barrels are on these things. And they don't need to be. The SRM-4's huge. If you kind of shrunk the weapons down a bit, and that it wouldn't be as bad a design. I love the offset cockpit, reminiscent again, obviously taking the idea that's like the Orion's head. That's like a Jenna SRM launcher, sort of set on the top there. You could imagine the legs are probably off an existing design. This kind of Franken-mech design turned into its own mech. It's a neat idea. It's not obviously an original idea in Battletech's universe, but the idea of a company bringing it up to that standard, that's cool. That's really good. Maybe Catalyst will get round to it and we'll have an updated Cronus that will look a lot more impressive. I really hope they do, because it would be a fun mech. I could see myself running a couple of these ideas I just discussed then on a future tabletop stream, where the players end up working for Gilmore Miltech in a certain period, and yeah, they've got some missions to do, and maybe a couple of choices where that's concerned, where they want to go. But I have ranted enough about praising the Cronus. Stats-wise, the mech is fine for 55 ton. Yeah, it can engage at all ranges, great heat dissipation, decent enough armor package. It can't take a lot of damage, but it can take a few hits before it needs to retreat off the field. It's perfect for mercenaries because it's got a decent movement profile combined with obviously a decent weapons package overall. It can hit lights that get too close. It can engage bigger targets at range. It's got a couple of backup weapons for medium and short range as well. It can punch, and it can also pick up stuff because it's got the one arm with the hand actuators and all that. The only thing that really draws it back is it's probably quite expensive with the XL engine, so you could imagine this is probably only being bought by medium-sized merc companies and up. This isn't. I doubt this is the kind of thing that would be bought by, your starter mercs who are just getting their foot in the door. Maybe the 3M model with the lower tech gear, possibly. You could probably imagine that might still be sold in smaller numbers to lower mercenary groups. But I don't know what the armor package would be like on that. I guess I think it would be lower because, as it said in the write-up, the XL engine allows them to put more armor on it. So, yeah, I don't know if this has ever been statted, the 3M officially. It's probably in a record sheet somewhere, so I'll have to look that up just out of curiosity. But if you do know what they are, post it. Post it in the comments. And when I say that, just have a look first to make sure someone else hasn't already done it, or else it's going to be like multiple people posting the armor stuff, and you'll just be wasting your own time. If someone else gets there first, I'll if I see it the first, I'll heart it the comment, so it'll be at the top for people. Anyway, have a good one all. Thanks for listening as always, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.